it's just so special for our club, mate, our club.
Lastly, after 57 years of pain, it's coming home.
Hey there, TJ here, and welcome to Yeah The Dees, where I'm going through our Round 8 win against the Gold Coast Suns on Saturday the 6th of May at Heritage Bank Stadium on the Gold Coast. And it was a much tougher game than I thought. I take the Suns for granted a lot of the time. We tend to do pretty well against them, so I thought we would have an easy win, and it was anything but. This game was Clayton Oliver and Christian Petrarca's 150th game together. So let's get into the team selection. Only 2 changes for the side for this week, with Josh Shackey coming out. He copped a hit throughout the week and was concussed, so wasn't able to make this game due to the protocols. Harrison Petty came in for him, and then there was a late change on the day with Michael Hibberd being managed, who has a Achilles problem, and Daniel Turner, Disco Turner, coming in for his second game. Gold Coast made 4 changes for the game, and their big in was Levi Casbolt for this game. I was very surprised to see Alex Sexton omitted. He's quite a handy player. Both teams in a bit of form, coming off 2 wins in a row against the same sides, Richmond and North Melbourne. So let's get into the game. First quarter started off pretty well. We were able to rebound quite a few of their inside 50s at the start and ended up scoring on our first inside 50. Jacob Van Rooyen with a really nice mark. I keep frothing over his kicking action. He executes it every time and puts through a steady goal, and our first for the game. We were able to get the first 3 on the board in this quarter. Our pressure in our forward 50 was on point pretty early, locking the ball towards our inside 50 with Alex Neil-Bullen pressuring the rush behind that was scored. Petty also fisting it out of bounds to keep the stoppages towards our forward 50. We ended up getting a turnover as Gold Coast continuously tried to exit our defensive 50 with an intercept, and an easy Oliver pop-up kick finds Cozzy Pickett about 35 metres out from goal to get our second one on the board. Gold Coast got a clean break out of the centre, which led to a Casbolt mark, which he popped up to the top of the square. It gets turned over, and I swear the ball was touched before Sean Lemons marked it, but luckily enough, he kicks a point. Between here, there was a really great tackle from Cozzy Pickett, which he probably should have gotten a free kick in front of goal for holding the ball. Marbol Chol drops a mark that probably should have been paid in a marking contest against Gawn, but Grundy was able to pick it up and snap through our third, and we were in fair control of the game at this stage. Just not able to really take all of our opportunities. I really feel like we should have probably been getting more in front before Roses kicked his first goal. There was some nice play out of the middle with a beautiful ground ball pickup from Pickett, which gives Viney a mark inside 50 and a shot on goal, which he missed, unfortunately. His goal kicking's been pretty good this year, but he just didn't execute this kick. And then Gold Coast goes coast to coast for Roses to get his first goal out the back of our defenders. Our defenders were just caught way too far up the ground and got exposed on the quick turnaround, with Gold Coast taking the ball through the middle. Gawn did get us well, but we had no one to help at ground level. And Max tried his best to get back there and take an intercept mark. Striker almost kicked a wild goal from 50 after a beautiful contested mark from Harrison Petty. I thought Harrison Petty looked a little better forward this game, but we're still really missing him in the back line. I won't bang on about it again, but it's definitely what I think is keeping these games a bit closer. Trent Rivers took some really good marks in defence. He's improved and is probably the most improved player, I think, so far on our list. He's just really maturing into a great footballer. But Roses was able to kick his second goal after another transition through the ground. Then later on there was an iffy holding the man free kick, which gives Gold Coast an inside 50. Chol receives a quick handball and snaps through a goal. And then Rowell started to sort of dominate towards the end of this quarter and helps push Gold Coast forward. He was head-to-head with Christian Petrarca and beat him 4 times in a row at consecutive stoppages towards the end of this quarter. And we saw the second quarter start with Christian Petrarca on the bench and Jack Viney on Matt Rowell, where Jack Viney was able to beat him quite convincingly in the next couple of stoppages. There was a few sort of 50-50 decisions that kind of, I felt, went Gold Coast's way before the best goal of the game, which was Chandler's goal at the 32-minute mark of the quarter. Just wow. It's such a privilege to be able to watch him go to work and do such beautiful things on the football field. So as we get to the end of that first quarter, we kicked 4 goals, 4-28 to Gold Coast's 3-3-23 to be up by 7 points at the end of the first quarter. Cade Chandler's goal at the end sort of helping a little bit with the margin, obviously. Gold Coast had a really great 6 to 7 minutes towards the end of that quarter, and we didn't get as much reward for effort that we should have in the first 12 minutes. And at stages, it really looked like we were going to explode. The pressure rating for the quarter was 186 to Melbourne, 193 to Gold Coast. So they really brought it to us in that quarter in terms of pressure. We were still able to get on top early. We get a Melbourne-style centre bounce clearance through Tom Sparrow to start off this quarter. Unfortunately, Max and JVR couldn't get to the drop of the ball. They were somehow not being held because of the free kick didn't get paid, so worked that one out. Jack Viney gets a free kick for in the back. When his opponent falls onto it, he's able to hit Max up for a nice mark. Max spins the ball 5,000 times before lining up and putting it through. His lumbering style with his kicking and his natural hook of a kick to sort of send them left always worries me while he's going for goal. But I think he suits playing full forward so much. His height and the way he leads forward at the ball, like, who's going to stop him? Who's going to spoil him? It's going to take away the best defender each time he's there, and then it's going to open up opportunity for a JVR, for a Fritsch. If Ben Brown gets fit and gets back down there, imagine him and Max Gawn leading forward out of a centre break stoppage. We should have better options to be able to kick forward, and I think Max could play there for years, especially now that we have Grundy. We get the next clearance through Sparrow again, which Max almost marks. He throws a boot at it and it goes through for a point. Throughout this game, the amount of high tackles not paid I thought was quite ridiculous. Cozzy got pinned for holding the ball when I think it should have been high. And I think you sort of got to protect the head or not, but we'll get more into that with the Chol Bowie and JVR Ballard incidents later on in this game. There's a moment in this quarter where Max was the target up forward and it comes to ground and goes down the other end, and Max Gawn intercepts the mark down the other end. He ran the whole ground to go and make that defensive play, and that was really, really impressive. There was another free kick Cozzy should have gotten for an incorrect disposal. He had an awesome sort of chicken wing tackle where he was holding the player's handball hand and didn't dump the player. But yeah, you know, when you see Lockie Hunter get pinned later or holding the ball when he does handball, it's just like, what's going on with these holding the ball free kicks? There was a weird free kick in the ruck against JVR. He also almost took a really nice pack mark in this quarter. James Jordan kicks a goal off a 50-metre penalty when the Gold Coast player came up to the mark and for some reason jumped like half a metre forward in front of the mark. So the umpire just blew it and straight away gave him the 50. So it was pretty prompt. Usually they kind of whistle and tell them to come back, but I think it was kind of obvious that the player just went and exceeded the line. So Jordan was able to kick truly and put that one through. Brodie Grundy gets our second goal after Jack Viney gets a holding the man free out of the centre, and he's able to kick to Grundy, who had run forward post centre bounce, and then Grundy kicks his second for the game. And then Gold Coast get a bit of a run here. They kick 3 goals in a row. Oliver gets a holding the man free out of the centre, and Petty almost takes a huge pack mark. The ball gets brought through the middle for Gold Coast for Jack Lukosius to take a mark. He's able to kick Gold Coast's second goal for the quarter. And then a third holding the man free is paid out of the centre in a row, this time to Matt Rowell. And these are just getting picked out all in the second quarter. He's able to get the ball down to Rosas, who kicks his third goal for the game and Gold Coast's third for the quarter, so they just kind of won't go away. Whilst Chol was kicking this goal, there was a bit of argy-bargy between Max Gawn and Witt. Gawn threw Witts to the ground after a ruck contest and just kind of laughed at him a bit, and Witts just wasn't really having it and just kind of they pushed each other around for a little bit. Gold Coast kicked 3 in a row. Yeah, I just feel like the umpires kind of lost control of the game a little bit around here. There's just weird free kick reversals that you kind of can't really tell what they're for. And then a free kick off the ball gives them a drive into their 50. And this is where Chol smashes Bowie in the face. Free kick there is paid. A bit later, Pickett gets hit high again and still doesn't get a free. But luckily, Alex Neil-Bullen was able to gobble up the ball and snap it through the goals, which we really needed after just this bullshit that was happening with some really poor umpiring and just getting the Suns to have a bit of a run. And this is where Charlie Ballard gets a really bad hit. He's on the ground and doesn't get up for a while. Looks like Pickett gets him with his shin or his foot sort of as he's running through, and Ballard is just really in a bad way. I'd be really interested to know if he had a concussion test at this stage, because I think that really impacts what happens later. He looked really bad after taking that shin to the face. So be interesting to find out. There's been nothing really revealed of it, but we'll talk a bit more about it soon. There's a ball up and both ruckmen block each other in the centre square, and it was paid against Grundy, which is just absolute rubbish because he's ended up going further than the ball went over his head, but they're just both ruckmen misjudged it poorly. So like how do you raffle off that free kick against Grundy for that, which is a huge advantage, getting a kick from the centre square. Yeah, so that was a really frustrating quarter. We kicked 4-1-25 to Gold Coast 4-1-25. It was an even quarter, so we go into half time with the same margin as the first break, with that being 7 points. We kick off this third quarter very, very well with another beautiful Melbourne typical out the front stoppage centre clearance, only for Grundy to be held and no free kick to be given. We push on to rebound. Bailey Fritsch helps get the ball to ground. Cozzy gets our first goal of the quarter with a beautiful ground ball pickup, snap and spin. Levi Casbolt takes a very easy mark against Disco Turner here for them to be able to get that goal. Noah Anderson was just brilliant from the boundary and absolutely gives Levi an opportunity to go. It was a really easy one for him to get to. Noah Anderson's really turning into a elite performer. Him and Matt Rowell, they're now into their 4th season, and that was when we really started to see Clayton Oliver and Christian Petrarca sort of get together, was around their 3rd and 4th seasons together, and they started to really, really click. It seems like with Tuke Miller out of the side at the moment, and he is a fantastic player, it has put the burden on Noah Anderson and Matt Rowell to really be the engine for this Gold Coast team, and they were really, really great in the clearances. Noah Anderson has always been a highly rated talent, and he's really only coming through now and maturing. Matt Rowell and Noah Anderson, like, they were picks 1 and 2 in the 2019 draft, the same draft we took Luke Jackson, Cozzy Pickett and Trent Rivers in, so they're all basically the same age as those players. And you can really see all those players are really sort of coming into their own, except for Luke, who did have a good game on the weekend, being played a bit more as a midfielder for Fremantle. So they're actually starting to work out how to use him properly. But that's a side conversation anyway. Just mainly wanted to talk about Noah Anderson and just put some respect on his name, because he's been quite fantastic here. But Disco Turner was just kind of thrown to the wolves playing against Levi Casbolt. Just a way too big of a player to play against him. Like, Tomlinson probably would have been a better option, as he's a bit more of a lockdown defender, or maybe putting Disco on Ben King and having Stephen May take after Levi Casbolt just for the body weight and muscle and size. Apparently that was our first defensive one-on-one that we had lost for the match. So Ben King kicks his first goal for the game in this third quarter off a high tackle free kick. And for whatever reason, Fox Footy had a whole Ben King highlight package ready to go for when he kicked a goal this game. So no replay of the free kick. I had to rewind it and watch it 3 times to see that there was a little arm around the shoulder from Stephen May, but no impact on the contest. So it's just, I think it was just poor umpiring again. And really poor from Fox Footy to not show a replay and just show a stupid highlights package about a player. I'm pretty sure no other player got a highlights package throughout the telecast. So why are they doing it for Ben King? Like, who cares? Jake Bowie's goal was excellent. Runs a little early for Oliver's kick inside 50. The ball comes to ground. Pickett tackles the Gold Coast player, who picks it up, and the ball just lands in Bowie's hands, and he just sticks it straight through for the big sticks and kicks his 4th goal for his career. Shortly after this is where the Hunter holding the ball, that was just way too hot, got called. He was standing up in the tackle and got the handball away. He wasn't restricted and got punished for it. Like, he had the space to get rid of the ball. It was a shit tackle, and he's been rewarded for not retarding the player from getting rid of it. Like, Dusty gets all the time in the world to be able to take these handballs off, so why couldn't Hunter do it? Like, it was just way too hot and just absolutely ridiculous. There was a couple of, like, shitty advantages paid throughout the game as well. Like, after the Cozzy Pickett tackle on the wing, Petrarca stopped and wanted to give the ball over, but it was called advantage, and that just puts us in a bit of a hard spot. There was a 50-metre also paid against Harrison Petty that I thought was a little bit soft, but yeah, I guess it was kind of there. Alex Neil-Bullen unfortunately botched a great opportunity where he intercepted and kicked towards goal. Disco Turner got his hands first to a mark against Levi Casbolt, but that wasn't paid on the wing. Tom Sparrow was able to get a nice bomb with about 2 minutes to go. There was some really beautiful work from Gawn to get it to Oliver, who got it to Petrarca, who handballed 30 metres over to Sparrow for him to absolutely bomb this one from 50. And then there was another bullshit free kick given to Ben King right at the siren. So he kicks that goal, and we go into third quarter time even. We kicked 3-1-19 to Gold Coast's 4-2. 26, and they win that quarter. We are now both on 72 points going into the last. Yeah, we were just really, really bad at stoppage and clearance this game. We were negative 27 before going into this last quarter. There's only been 3 times we've lost the clearance count this year. We've lost it to Footscray, Brisbane, and Gold Coast. And when it comes down to it, we've only lost one of those games. So it hasn't been hugely affecting us to lose it, other than just that Brisbane game. But I think, there's other factors into that with the mental game with Gawn. These sides, the Bulldogs, Brisbane and Gold Coast, are ranked 1, 2 and 3 for average clearance differential this year. Pretty sure we're ranked 4th, so it's like we're going up against teams that are doing really well against other sides. Like Gold Coast did beat up on Geelong and have also beaten 2 other clubs that we have played so far this year. So there's been a few things that I think could be impacting our clearances and stoppage game. And the first one is probably getting used to a new ruckman. Max Gawn has barely played this year and has been playing a bit more forward in these last 2 games and letting Grundy be in there. He's taking way more bounces and is a very, very different player to Max Gawn. And I feel like when Max Gawn is in there, he's probably a little predictable and kind of telegraphs where he's going to tap it, so the opposition are able to shark a lot out of those clearances. We also just saw Christian Petrarca get beaten by Matt Rowell a few times, and I think that change probably needed to be made quicker, because once Jack Viney got put onto him, Matt Rowell had much less impact throughout the game. Unfortunately, we weren't able to stifle the impact of Noah Anderson as well, which would have done a lot for us. We are definitely trying to be a bit more varied and diverse midfield. We are seeing a few more players go through there than just having Gawn, Oliver, Petrarca and Viney. Tom Sparrow spent a lot of time through there. I was actually a little bit disappointed by how little Cozzy spent through there. I think he was, when he was in there, we were getting a lot of the ball coming out. I think he's a really great point of difference in the middle of the ground. Also in this game, Langdon and Hunter didn't really have the impacts that they usually have, and didn't really help our ball movement go along the wings for whatever reason. I'm not sure why, but Ed Langdon just had a shocker. Teams are very, very, very clued on to the way that we spread forward from the stoppage, and you'd have to be, not really clued on or just sort of have your head in the clouds to not work out what we're trying to do when we're running forward. If we are running forward and we don't take that mark inside 50 or turn it over, that ball can get kicked straight over our midfield's heads to a leading half forward for the opposition. I also think that we are very much more focused on the turnover game. We don't panic when we lose these stoppage and clearances, because we're about post clearance and about creating that intercept and creating that turnover, and we don't tend to struggle to move the ball down the ground. It's just really our connection to inside 50, but we're still one of the highest scoring teams in the league, so really scoring isn't too much of an issue. So that's that's sort of pretty much my thoughts on sort of stoppage and clearances and why it was so bad, or why it has been bad across this year. We do win this last quarter like by 20 in contested clearances and stoppages. So it just completely turned around this last quarter and we absolutely hammered them. Bailey Fritsch recorded his first disposal in this last quarter. He just had a shocking game. I don't know whether he was unwell or a little bit injured. He did start training on Monday away from the team, so I'm not sure if that's an injury or a sickness or something. But he just was nowhere near himself. And unfortunately, by kicking only 3 points for this game, he breaks his 35-game streak of at least 1 goal a game. So that's a bit sad. And he has an opportunity and kicks it out of bounds, which is sad. Grundy tries to take it from the ruck and kick a goal, but it's smothered. But a bit later, Christian Petrarca gets onto it and snaps through a big one and puts us up by a goal. Shortly after this, Disco Turner gets subbed off for James Harms, and Harrison Petty goes towards the back line. I was really happy to see James Harms on the ground and just felt like he gave us a bit of run. He had a decent impact in this last quarter. He got like 6 or 8 disposals in about 15 minutes. Ed Langdon behind. As I said, he just sort of disappeared this game. We barely saw him. It was like he didn't even play. Fritsch hit the post with a snap from the pocket. I thought that one was going in, but it just sort of hooked towards the post towards the end, unfortunately. But Max Gawn gets a free kick downfield as Levi Casbolt just ran into a player for whatever reason. So we get a reversal from the kick-in from this Bailey Fritsch point, because it just happens to be a reversal wherever the ball is. So Max Gawn smashes the ball through the goals here, and that ends up being our last goal for the game. We then witness one of the worst bounces ever in the centre. It had to be recalled. There's a couple of free kicks we take advantage for. Harms takes a chance at a goal but sprays it. High entry into our forward 50 where Van Rooyen collects Charlie Ballard, and he stays down and gets taken off by a stretcher. I can't believe that they're trying to give him 2 weeks for this. Like, this is such a football action where he's going to spoil the ball and just happens to collect him with that part of his arm. And it just blows my mind that in the same game, Marbol Chol can take Bowie out with his forearm and not get cited for striking at all. It's like these two incidents are very, very similar, looking at a person coming across to spoil a ball or coming across to tackle someone and strike them. It's just absolutely ridiculous. It actually reminded me of the Richmond game when Bailey Fritsch copped like clothesline across the back of his head and got a 50-meter penalty, and that's just what it is. It's just like it's a small mistake. He got hit, so it's like they're really only looking at this as a 2-week because of the outcome, because he got taken off on a stretcher. So I'm really looking forward to the Demons contesting this. I think it'll get thrown out, and if it doesn't, then I might have to consider petitioning, because we just can't have people getting suspended for actions like that. So yeah, we have some really poor defensive efforts and kind of trip over ourselves, which ends up in Noah Anderson kicking a goal. Oliver takes it out of the centre here. Fritsch takes a mark. Marks a really tough kick, and I can't believe he missed this one. He's just, had a nightmare of a game. This is the one that I think he really should have put through. And it's if Bailey Fritsch puts 3 goals through in this last quarter, we're just cruising to a victory. That's really the difference here. The difference is that we usually have a Bailey Fritsch kick accurately and help out on the scoreboard, but that didn't happen this game, making it a lot closer than what it should have been. Like, if he kicks those 2 goals, we'd be an extra 12 points up here, and it would just, the game would have been pretty much done. Jake Lever took a really great intercept mark to keep the ball in our attacking 50. Unfortunately, we can't capitalise and keep it forward. It goes down the other end, and Rivers makes a horrible mistake and kicks it into a smother. Gold Coast pounce on that one, kicking with Malcolm Roses kicking another goal, bringing it back to 4 points and keeping them within a sniff. And then in these last 6 minutes with the game on the line, only 3 points are scored between the two teams. Chandler had a big mark, a lot of contested wins, some great tackles. We run through the middle. Petrarca has a dribbler shot, which gets rushed through the goals. Viney gets hit by Casbolt with a very high clothesline. And then also Hunter got a downfield free kick. So it was a very few couple of sloppy free kicks here. Yeah, Gold Coast probably should have had a few opportunities. Like Max Gawn definitely pushed Chol out in a contest, and Rivers did sort of have his arms around the waist of another player while he was sort of leading up towards the ball. But, Darcy McPherson had that shot on goal and missed the chance to even it up with 15 seconds left. And that's just footy. We win in the end. We kicked 2 goals 6-18 to 2 goals 1-13. We could have put it away at any stage if we had have kicked straighter. And that's just all it was. But we really brought the pressure in that quarter. It was our highest pressure for the game. We had a pressure rating of 191 and Gold Coast was 172. And you could really see the difference towards the start of that quarter when we were putting on that scoreboard pressure, and then kind of eased off a little bit. So other than the first quarter, we beat them in pressure for the rest of the game. So stats-wise, Gold Coast had a bit more of the ball, a lot more kicks, where we had a lot more handballs. I do feel like we overused it a little bit. We were a lot more efficient with our kicks. 61 inside 50s to 45, so we kept them under their average and we were above ours, which is good. We could have been a lot more efficient inside 50, but our disposal efficiency was okay. Our AFL average being 75, which is one of the highest in the league. We're actually a much better kicking team this year. Free kicks were even, hit outs even as well, and then we ended up getting the clearances a lot closer, being only 7 down towards the end of the game, and that was after being 27 down at 3/4 time. So a big 20 clearance and stoppage clearance win in that last quarter to really help us get the win. Lost contested possessions, but had a few more uncontested, so we were able to use the ball on the outside a bit more, lower on turnovers. Lower on marks, there was a lot of marks around the ground that Gold Coast were taking, but pretty even for marks inside 50. We had a lot more of opportunity for scoring shots. We had 25 scoring shots to 20, so that's another 5. And if any of those 3 from Bailey Fritsch sort of go through, then this is a much easier game to watch. Our tackling was at 66, which I was really happy with. Gold Coast lacking a little bit for those in the tackle stats. In terms of the pressure points that we were talking about, Jack Viney had the most with 65, Tom Sparrow 62, Cozzy Pickett 53, Clayton Oliver 44, Neil Bullen 42, Petrarca 38, Gone 37, and Van Rooyen 36. So it's really nice to see from Jacob Van Rooyen that he's really putting on a lot of pressure throughout games. The game was spent in our forward half, 56% of the game. And our best scoring avenue was from turnover. We kicked 11-6, 72 from turnover to Gold Coast 6-2, 38. Gold Coast, very surprising, got 4-1, 25 from throw-in and 2-4, 16 from ball up, where we got 1 goal, 3-9 from those two sources, which is also the same amount we got from centre bounce, 1 goal, 3-9. Gold Coast just getting the 1 goal from kick-in when they went coast to coast that time. Set shots at goal, we went 5-5-35 from set shots, which is our worst difference for the season. Gold Coast went 8-4-52, so they were a bit more straighter. In general play, we kicked 8-5-53 to Gold Coast's 5-2-32. Christian Petrarca leading the meters game at 5-27, Lockie Hunter with 4-74, Clayton Oliver 4-4-9, Jack Viney, Brayshaw, Rivers, Stephen May, Jake Bowie, Tom Sparrow, James Jordan, all having very solid games, getting over the 300s there. Clayton Oliver again, most disposals for us with 28. Christian Petrarca 26 and 24. And Judd McVeigh, he's just so clean with his disposal, going at 91%. James Jordan at 88. Jake Bowie at 88. Van Rooyen at 87. Sparrow, Lever and Chandler all at 80%. That's all great, very much high and above average. Bowie with 9 intercept possessions, Trent Rivers with 8, Brayshaw with 7. Clayton Oliver 9 score involvements, Sparrow and Petrarca having 7 as well. And then Sparrow, Viney and Pickett all had 7 tackles each, which was fantastic. Christian Petrarca with the most inside 50s. Brodie Grundy somehow giving 7 free kicks away, which is just obscene. I can't remember the last time someone gave away 7. And Jack Viney got the most with 4, just putting his head in and under the ball all the time. Stephen May and Jake Lever spending 100% time on ground. Let's get into the coaches' votes. So the coaches' votes look like this, even though Melbourne won. It was a very high amount of Gold Coast players getting votes, so the coaches would have had it split up something like this. As for my votes, I gave 1 to Jake Bowie, who I thought had an awesome game. Was very clean with his disposals. Kicked a great goal as well. Gave 2 votes to Cozzy Pickett, who, despite only having the 8 disposals, had 7 tackles. Put on the third most amount of pressure. Really didn't get rewarded for a lot of great tackles that he put on and kicked 2 goals. Gave Tom Sparrow 3 votes for his great effort. Did a lot of great work in the middle. Kicked a goal. Gave Christian Petrarca the 4 votes. His 2 vital goals that he just kept running all day. Yeah, he got beaten a little bit by Matt Rowell here or there, but he never dropped his head. And I felt like he was definitely one of the points of difference, especially with being a goal scorer. Max Gawn kicking 2 goals and took some really, really important marks, so I gave him the 5 votes. And then I just had to give Clayton Oliver the 6 with the way that he went about this game. He had 6 marks, 4 tackles, 6 clearances, 449 metres gained, 9 score involvement, 6 intercept possessions, 5 inside 50s. Just a really great game from him. 14 contested possessions, 13 uncontested. He's just an absolute beast to go and watch. As for the VFL, and a very inaccurate second term basically cost us this game. We kicked 2-6 to 6-1. Gold Coast, who are on top of the ladder, beat us by 20 points. Ben Brown kicked 3 goals, had a direct hand in another 3. Blake Howes had 24 touches. Bailey Laurie had 25 touches and kicked 1. And then Spargo, in his comeback from his concussion, had 22 disposals and also kicked a goal, who looked quite good. Tajway Woden played one of his best games since returning from a thumb injury. Alex Sexton played this game and kicked like 4 goals, and he's just way too good to be playing at this VFL level. He should definitely be in the Gold Coast side, or actually kicked 5, sorry. But yeah, Taj, 24 disposals, was the equal 4th getter on the ground, who did quite well. Joel Smith with another 2 goals, following up on his good game from the week before. Jake Malcolm kicking 2 after having 5 the week before that as well. And yeah, no Tom McDonald this week, so hopefully he is okay. Yep, so here we are, sitting second on the ladder, best percentage in the game at the moment, and I think you're looking pretty much at what is going to be competing at the pointy end of the season in this sort of top 9 to 10. I think Adelaide might come in to this top 8 out of all those sides, and then it's really up to the Western Bulldogs and Port Adelaide if they can stay in there, along with St Kilda, who also have a very good draw. So I heard Christian Salem was back full training this week. Casey have the bye this weekend, so he won't be playing anywhere this weekend, I don't think. T-Mac was also training, has a ankle injury, but I think that's just a sprain. Bailey Fritsch, Adam Tomlinson, and Trent Rivers were all on light duties at training on Monday, and so was Ben Brown. So yeah, they're clearly not 100%. Hopefully they sort of get there towards the weekend, and if not, they're given some time to go and heal. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with where we're at. Like, Gold Coast, they're a tougher side, and they don't get a lot of respect because they keep falling off in seasons. But they, tend to win 6 to 8 games a year and really put it to those 6 to 8 sides that they'll get those wins against. And it's hard to pick when they're going to go and do those sort of performances. So we copped one. We didn't really play our best, but we still got the win, and that's what good sides do. So this has been Yeah The Dees. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you next week.
And it's just so special for our club, mate, our club.
Lastly, after 57 years of pain, it's coming home.